Ince. And look at the space here for Lee Sharp. There's no flag. And no mistake. 2 for Sharp, 2 for United. And the man of the match has probably won the match.
Good evening. That was the winning goal against Aston Villa back in August that put Manchester United top of the Premiership, where they remained going into today's games. But on Monday, rivals Blackburn Rovers drew level on points. Then on Wednesday, after 1 or 2 edgy performances, United returned to sparkling form in the cup replay against Oldham, Andrei Kanchelskis in particular. So all was set for today's big games. Blackburn at Southampton and United away to Wimbledon. And in the battle for survival, we feature Ipswich Town against Swindon. The goals from the 7 other games. And the latest views of Hansen and Brooking. Right, we begin at the Dell. Southampton desperate for points to stay in the top division. Blackburn Rovers with a real chance of going clear at the top, at least until the United game played later. And the commentary comes from Tony Gubba.
Alan Shearer returns to Southampton, where his football career began as a 14-year-old schoolboy who's now matured into the classic centre-forward. Shearer's 33 goals have put Blackburn in with a chance of their first championship in 80 years. But it's a game which could be decisive at both ends of the Premier Division, and Blackburn will have to beware that Matthew Le Tissier doesn't steal the starring role. His hat-trick in last week's 5-4 romp at Norwich have really fuelled Southampton belief that they can escape relegation. Well, it's not a cavalier approach by Southampton today. They make one change from the team which won at Norwich last week. Number 21, Tommy Widdrington, comes in. He's normally a midfield player, but is expected to figure in a 3-man central defence. Blackburn have one enforced change from the team which won 1-0 against Villa on Monday. Colin Hendry is suspended, so Kevin Moran returns just 2 weeks before his 38th birthday. Joe Worrell of Warrington is a late replacement as referee for Keith Hackett, who's picked up an injury. It's only 3 points at stake, but for these two teams, as vital as the crown jewels. Blackburn desperate to dislodge Manchester United at the top of the Premier Division. Southampton in 20th place, dreaming about avoiding relegation. Le Tissier, forward by Charlton. Davies little headed down. This is Maddison. May, the covering player, who doesn't stand on ceremony. And Blackburn have not had a good record here at the Dell. They haven't won in their last 9 league visits. Maddison. Now Magil. That's aimed for Dowie. Got a little touch on it. It's May's header. And finally it was hooked away by Wilcox. Back to help out in defence. And here's a touch now for Tim Flowers. Didn't want to keep hold of it for too long. Benali. Simon Charlton, who'll push on down that left side as often as possible, as will Jeff Kenner down the right side. Here's Le Tissier, bit of space in which to operate. He's gone for a curler. Oh my goodness me, that was so close. Again, Le Tissier nonchalant about everything he does, but there were only inches in that, and it had certainly beaten Tim Flowers. This is Widdrington, who is operating as a 3-man central defence, and that's an excellent ball to Le Tissier. Looking to tee it up for somebody. Here's Maddison. It's a good effort again by Southampton. That's 2 great efforts that Southampton have had. Maddison just steadies himself. And again, there were only inches in it. Southampton have played 12 matches since Alan Ball came as manager. 4 wins, 3 draws and 5 defeats. drilled in. Letizier's header, well directed. Wasn't a difficult save for Flowers in the end, but it was a header which was steered deliberately, again up into that top angle. Letizier on the chase. Oh, it's got under the feet of David May. My goodness me. Letizier again shows how threatening he can be around the penalty area. There were two Blackburn players to deal with it. It got right away from them and through the legs of David May, and for a moment Letizier was almost free. That's still in play. Magil for Dowie. Took it nicely on his chest, leaves it for Letizier. Still Letizier. Still. Chipped up to the back post. Dowie arrives. Southampton have scored, and Dowie has put his team ahead. His 6th goal of the season. It's not too many for a centre-forward, but he's proved effective as a goal provider as well. This time it's as a goal scorer. Letizier's cross, and Dowie out jumping two defenders. And I wonder how influential has been the fact that Colin Hendry isn't available for Blackburn in this match because of a suspension. Well, it was always worth a try. Besson certainly had to get his hands on it. That'll be a corner. Blackburn's two recent defeats in the league have both been away from home at Arsenal and Wimbledon. Moran! Well, that would have made amends for the header which Dowie won against him a few minutes ago. And you could see from that how strong Dowie had to be to win it against two defenders. Kenny Dalglish looking quite thoughtful. He's never a man to show too much expression. David May out to Lasso. Blackburn have got more forward on this attack. Shearer right in front of goal. Besson put it down. Newell, it's behind. It's a goal kick, and Southampton have survived. And you'd have put your shirt on Alan Shearer scoring from that. Just outside the 6-yard box. And maybe the ball never quite came down properly for him. Look at the space that he's in. By the time it came down, Moncau was across. Besson clawing it away with one hand and then making the double save. But that's the first time that Blackburn have really got through that three-man central defence for Southampton. David May will take the throw. Moncau won the header. Here's Batty. Besson stayed where he was, and again it was there for Shearer, and then it wasn't. It hit him in the chest, and maybe he was taken by surprise that it came through to him. But it's two opportunities from which we've been accustomed to seeing Alan Shearer score goals from. Dowie's flick on, Letizier gets to it. Kenner outside him, still Letizier. For Kenner, here's Allen. Oh, Southampton has scored again! Paul Allen! Letizier involved, and it's a remarkable start. 2-0 to Southampton. And Blackburn have never looked a team full of confidence, and they're now a team trailing 2-0. Letizier, that fine, tight control, pushed on for Paul Allen to score his first goal for Southampton after 37 minutes of the first half. And in his 32nd match, Paul Allen gets his first goal. And what a crucial one it is. Southampton ahead by 2-0. And maybe the responsibility of knowing that they could go top of the Premier Division if they won this afternoon has begun to get to Blackburn. And there goes the whistle to end the first half, and the Southampton support finally explodes into a little bit of life. It's been muted in the first half, but it's Kenny Dalglish who would appear to have all the problems. Ian Dowie and Paul Allen giving us a scoreline at half-time of Southampton 2, Blackburn 0. Blackburn were out first for the start of the second half. Good couple of minutes before Southampton. Maybe their dressing room wasn't a happy place to be. But the next 45 minutes will certainly tell us more about the strength of their challenge for the title. 2-0 down at Southampton, beginning to ask questions. Here's Jason Wilcox. Gives it straight to Kenner. But Southampton know that the game can change in an instant, and they won't want to concede a goal. That maybe was one of the problems that has put them in their current predicament. Goals conceded in recent matches. Certainly Alan Ball has tried to tighten up things at the back after seeing 14 go into his net in the last 6 games. We'll mix it there between two of the central players. Moran out to Lasso, that came off Madison, and they'll go behind for an early Blackburn corner, and now playing into the end behind which their travelling support is positioned. Hit long, May to retrieve it. Batty wants it in the middle. Over the top for Ripley. It's Simon Charlton. It's a Blackburn throw. And if one word could perhaps describe Blackburn's first half... Oh, Shearer! Well, he did better with that one than the 2 chances in the first half. Got right behind the ball and directed the header with good power, but it was straight at Dave Besant. I was about to say the one word which would describe their first half would have been inhibited, and maybe already signs in the second half that they're going to be less so. And Wilcox who brings it out. Sherwood, space in front of him, just checks. Here's Ripley. Still Ripley, left foot. It went underneath Dave Besant. Oh, it'll have to go down as a goalkeeper's mistake. Blackburn get exactly the start to the second half that they would have wanted. Benali slipped, Ripley kept his feet, and Besant went down late. It went right underneath his body. And that's a soft goal to concede, and that may have given Blackburn the way back into this match that they wanted. Just over 3 minutes gone in the second half. Lasso. Here's Newell. Moncow sticking with him. Wilcox invites Lasso to cross, which he does to good effect. Shearer down to Ripley. Benali hooked it away, but it's a much more positive Blackburn, and that's a great shot by Henningberg, which Dave Besant did well to push away. Henningberg, the Norwegian international, hasn't yet scored this season. Ripley goes outside Charlton, gets in a good cross as well. Shearer's there. Again, the header was directed right at Besant. Anywhere else, and it was problems for Southampton. That's the long-range shot by Henningberg, and Besant may well have seen it late. Here's Jason Wilcox. Newell. Good turn by Newell into the penalty area. Back to Shearer. Besant makes a great stop. And finally Madison hooks it away. Well, Dave Besant has probably made amends now for the one that did get past him. But this is an excellent save from Shearer. Shearer. Still in possession, Ripley. And Letitia can bring it away. Oh, Dowie run from his own half, so... Oh! Well, he ran across Kevin Moran. It's a free kick. Dowie was inside his own half when he started that run, so there was no danger of him being offside. Joe Worrell not overly concerned about the collision between the two. Certainly Moran clipped his heels, but Joe Worrell perhaps deciding that it wasn't deliberate. Moran's header out. Here's Jeff Kenner. Got in a good ball, May cut it out, it's a corner. Well, Southampton may just have weathered Blackburn's storming start to the second half. And now forcing this corner, which Letitia will take. Well, Moncau is the player that he'll presumably look for. Over the top of him, Dowie's header. They're claiming handball and it's given. Joe Worrell has pointed at the penalty spot and Blackburn are incensed. Almost as a man, they've surrounded Joe Worrell. But I've never seen a referee change his mind. Letizier's corner was aimed at Dowie and Joe Worrell spotted a handball. Tim Sherwood, it's definitely a penalty. And Matt Letitia, who scored 4 times from the penalty spot this season, with a chance to make it 5. Alan Shearer having a word with him, and maybe we can only speculate of what was said. Letitia, 3-1 Southampton. Letitia kept his cool. Alan Shearer spoke to him. Did he try to put him off? He certainly didn't succeed. There's Sherwood. Good strike. But doubts surely beginning to creep into this Blackburn team. Trailing by 3 goals to 1. And time running out if they're to get any points from this visit to the Dell. Warhurst. And Warhurst comes away with it. 3 in the middle. Shearer. Oh, he got the strike in Shearer, but again he couldn't hit the target. And it's an afternoon on which Alan Shearer may begin to despair of ever scoring a goal. His strength beat Benali, but he hooked it right across the face of goal. Hit the back of Joe Worrell. There's Sherwood. Batty. Well, it was Dowie who nicked it away from him, and Southampton outnumber them here. Magilton. Out to Paul Allen. Wants to be hit to the back post. He should have tried to lift it to the back post because both Dowie and Letitia had taken up positions. Instead, he tried to chip Tim Flowers, and it was never really on. See how disappointed Dowie was. Here's Letitia. Oh, good touch by Letitia. And then puts Dodd into space. Dowie gets it out to Paul Allen. Here's Dowie, no offside. Letizier's got his arms up. He wanted glory himself, and Flowers blocked it and then was grateful to accept the rebound. Still Blackburn's ball. Wilcox scored 1 or 2 spectacular goals of late, but that wouldn't have counted anyway because the linesman's flag had gone up for offside. Here's Letitia. Oh, the defenders have moved away from him. Here's Jason Dodd in on Flowers. Tim Flowers prevents his side from going 4-1 down. But when that ball arrived at Letitia, it looked for a moment as though the defenders were backing away from him. And the Southampton supporters applauding their team. Here's Lasso. Oh, he's given it to Jason Dodd. Strong challenge by David May, rescuing the situation. Sherwood. Benali missed it. Here's Shearer, surely now. He's put it wide, and it isn't his afternoon. And Alan Ball was so right this morning in his prediction that it wouldn't be Shearer's day. He said that Shearer would want to do well, but often players coming back to the clubs that they've vacated, where they have previously been players, don't enjoy the afternoon that they've dreamed about. And it's certainly been one for Shearer to forget. The chances are beginning to mount up. Here's Dowie. Here's Jason Dodd. And offside. Joe Worrell has acknowledged the signals of both of his linesmen. Again checks his watch, and the whistle's in the mouth. After 3 successive home defeats, Southampton have recorded a remarkable victory. Kenny Dalglish doesn't look too happy. His team have had to live all week with the possibility that they could go top of the Premier Division after that 1-0 defeat of Villa on Monday. But in the end, it was Matthew Le Tissier who took the honours ahead of Alan Shearer on his return to his old club. On our count, Shearer with 9 chances to score this afternoon. Not all of them were good chances, some of them were only half, but you've seen him score from worse than that on other occasions. Le Tissier with the penalty, which made it 3-1, but also a big contribution to the goals which Dowie scored, and also Paul Allen. Southampton take the 3 points and continue to believe that they can avoid relegation. Final score here, Southampton 3, Blackburn 1.
Well, they were vital points for Southampton, but a big blow there for Blackburn.
Yeah, they had enough chances to win the game. I think Alan Shearer had 7-8 chances, it just wasn't his day. But I thought they missed Henry. The 2 goals he lost...
Colin Henry in the defence. Yeah.
The 2 goals he lost in the first half were bad from their point of view. And sometimes it's not until a guy is left out of side, as suspended as he was today, that you know his true value to the side.
He was missing when they lost at Wimbledon.
Yeah, they lost 4 at Wimbledon, they lost 3 today. I thought Dowie was magnificent in there, but that is his strong point, Colin Henry. He's great in there. Usually Henry and May are dominant, and today Dowie was winning in the air. And the first goal he scores, he comes at the back post and he buries it, a great ball from Le Tissier. But again, Blackburn had the chances to win the game.
Now, what did you make of that penalty incident, handball or not?
Well, I thought it hit him in the face. We play it here, Le Tissier's corner. Now, when we stop it, you can see the referee, Joe Worrell's in a great position. Dowie headers it. Sherwood puts his hand out for some reason, and really from that angle I can't tell. I can't tell if it's hit him in the face or hit his hand, but from this angle, the thing to watch out for here is his head. His head goes straight back there, it's hit him straight in the face, and I thought his reaction after that told its own story.
He unfortunately lifted his arm, which may have given the referee
might
the
have
wrong
influenced
impression.
the referee, but the referee's made a mistake.
Yeah,
Definitely
yeah.
not a penalty kick.
Now, is it you or Alan Ball getting Le Tissier more involved in games?
I think it's you that's getting fired up. You're winding him up, but I thought he was very good today. Obviously, he made the first 2 goals, but his general passing, his commitment to the game was excellent. He picks up, great first touch, looks up, 50-60-yard ball to Dowie, straight into feet, a little collision there, but the pass is perfect, it really was. Again, he picks the ball up here, a nice touch past Sherwood, and then he's always in control here. Good first touch, great second touch, and it's so easy. A great pass to Dodd's feet again. I thought this piece of play was terrific from Le Tissier. It's Besant, long ball, what we said before, Dowie wins the flick on, Blackburn back off, but the control, the touch, the pass is perfect to Dodd, and a good save from Flowers. Now watch this run here, what I'm talking about, commitment. We've circled him here, Magilton's on the ball, look at this for a run. Really is fantastic, he's bursting. He knows he's playing well, he's involved in the game, and I think that if he shows the same commitment in the last 4 games, then Southampton might get out of trouble.
Something's happening for him, and he can take a penalty, can't he, by the way?
He's a good player. I think he's got all the talent and ability in the world, and when he's playing well, You know, he makes things happen.
Let's take a check then on the table as it looked after that match, which of course kicked off at 3 o'clock. They remained on the same number of points, but Blackburn Rovers had played another game, 38 to United's 36. Well, a couple of weeks ago, Wimbledon dented Blackburn's title ambitions with a 4-1 win, as we said. This evening, they were out to prove they could do something similar to Manchester United. By the 5 o'clock kick-off, Blackburn would now have become their most ardent supporters. Our commentator at Selhurst Park is Barry Davies.
It could be that Alec Ferguson was correct, that Mark Hughes' goal at Wembley last Sunday has righted United's season. But although their hand is now greatly strengthened as a result of this afternoon's match at the Dell, the presentation to Wimbledon's Joe Kinnear of the Manager of the Month award for March, he's the first to receive a second award during the season, makes clear the task ahead. Wimbledon have had a 12-day break since their last match here, a 1-1 draw with Liverpool, and are now strengthened by the return from suspension of Vinnie Jones. They're unbeaten in their adopted home since New Year's Day, and remember what happened here to Blackburn. United are without Roy Keane, for whom Brian McClare, his substitute in the victory over Oldham, deputises, and Brian Robson starts his second match running, with his United goal tally standing at 99. The referee is Terry Holbrook, who comes from Walsall. Long conversation with John Fashanu and the return Vinnie Jones. Pleasant early evening sunshine. A pitch that looks pretty wet. And Wimbledon playing from right to left. First touch for Ryan Giggs. Hughes immediately challenged by Blackwell. Ince onto Giggs. Blackwell was in the way, and here's John Fashanu at the other end. Bannister got a foot in. The shot in the end came from Marcus Gale, but it was no more than a touch. Fashanu trying to get away from Bruce. It was a telling foot, but it came to Gale. He just deflected it to Schmeichel. Uses a bit of breath during a match, Joe Kinnear. Good stop by Scales. Kanchelskis. Fear's header. Fashanu holds off Bruce. Oh, well nicked by Parker. Kanchelskis shown inside. And goes for inside. Goal kick. The only option left to him in the end, the shot. Left by Bruce. Was apparently a shout, but there was a moment then when Schmeichel was just watching and not moving. Well won by Fear. It's a useful role in midfield. Jones slows it, gets some boos from the United followers. Room for Elkins to find a decent cross. And it was an awkward one, and it's forced in by John Fashanu. But it dropped into a hole on the near post. Somehow got between Bruce and Schmeichel. A messy goal from Manchester United's point of view. Not really quite sure. I think that Schmeichel had started to look for the longer cross. Yes, he started to move across, came back, couldn't recover the ground, and Bruce was coming from the other side, and that has to be debited as an error by the Danish international goalkeeper. He was too conscious of the cross that he thought was coming, and he left a hole on the near post that John Fashanu took full advantage of.
Alistair could have a crack. Oh! Got deflected. It wasn't deflected that far away. His only goal this season was against Wimbledon at Old Trafford. They all backed away. It was worth the chance. It was nearly productive. Shot up away, comes down to Robson. Can't correct it. Wimbledon players moving out, but not really en masse. Won by Scales, no problem now. Alistair. Fear. Hughes comes back to get it. Oh, goodness me. Vinnie Jones, free kick against him. Referee wants to talk to him, and rightly. Didn't actually make contact, but had it done so, it would have been injurious. Look at that. McClare turned away from it. That, in anybody's book, is a dangerous foul tackle. McClare made nothing of it, turned away from his man. And all credit to Brian McClare for that, but no credit at all to Vinnie Jones for that tackle. Foul by Scales. He got away with it, but on goes Ince. Referee looks, waits. Manchester United ask. Turns away again, but he hasn't made clear what the incident was. It was a flick on that got through. The tackle was outside the box, no doubt about that. Fell in the box, but the actual challenge was outside it. Giggs is just to the right of Brian Robson. And takes appeal for handball. Robson furious with the referee. Not too many joined in the appeal with him. Parker. Sharp from Joe Kinnear of goal. Marcus to Gay. Didn't quite carry from Robson. United throw. But was this an intentional handball? Oh, they jumped early, but it seemed to hit into the crowd. Robson was first to put his arms up and protest. He jumped up with arms in front of faces. Referee's given the free kick to Manchester United against Holdsworth. Shake of the head from Joe Kinnear. Space here for Giggs from the free kick by Owen. Bounce was kind to Seggers, but to expect from Ryan Giggs to twice in a week beat a goalkeeper with a cross shot across the face of the goalkeeper was perhaps asking too much. He might well have gone wide anyway. It was well claimed. Determination from Robbie Earl. Sharp. Free kick against Holdsworth. McClare! Good try. Didn't hesitate when the ball landed a little fortunately for him. Did well to stretch for it, and the instant shot couldn't keep it down. Nothing more he can do. Not in this one anyway. Hughes, as they say, working his socks off. Kept in by Gale. under 14 minutes remaining. Still Wimbledon leading by the 1 goal. Kanchelskis. Result at the Dell gave Manchester United room for manoeuvre, but they hoped the manoeuvre would be to take control of the championship battle. Here's McClare, there's Dublin, and that's a good stop. Wasn't quite as easy as Seggers made it look. Seeing a pick-up as you could wish to see this. Stumble in. Positioning is a major factor in that. Did well. And they stand again on the edge of the 18-yard area. Not quite where the header was intended to go, but Barton got there first. Dublin. McClare! Nearest yet. Cracking first-time shot by Brian McClare. Really hit it well. That screamed over the top. Holdsworth and Sharp down to the fleet of foot. Earl wins it back well. Gale. We're into the last 5 minutes. A point could prove so precious for Manchester United. And they've sought it with every possible effort. Hughes. Will it be allowed? No. Put up by Ince. Seggers took it. No real complaint from Manchester United. Hughes did awfully well to get up here. Dublin on the foot was adjudged to be dangerous by the referee. Didn't actually quite have it, but it was clearly a foot up. 5 waiting. Hughes! Out by Blackwell. Away by Holdsworth. And holding between Fashanu and Pallister. And Fashanu gets away but can't play a proper shot. And Pallister claims that he was pulled and the referee said you were giving as much as you received. And he could well be right. Let's have a look. He certainly got away, but he was forced into the early shot. Owen. Ince. Oh, with him. Corner 1. Peter Schmeichel joining forward, but it's worth the risk. Extra man there, and Schmeichel actually got the header, but directed it wide. No reaction from Alec Ferguson. Don't know whether, in fact, the goalkeeper actually impeded what would probably have been a better header there from Steve Bruce, who's rescued Manchester United before on these occasions with his head. He looks at his watch. He had a minute of stoppage time. And there will be no more. This helter-skelter of a championship sees the two contenders both lose on the same day. Nice smile from Alec Ferguson as he goes to congratulate his opposite number, Joe Kinnear. Victory by the 1 goal from John Fashanu and hugely determined defending, which denied everything that Manchester United could throw at Wimbledon. Final result at Selhurst Park. Wimbledon 1, Manchester United 0. Joe, tactically, that was a very different Wimbledon performance.
Well, possibly so. We decided that the best 2 people that couldn't hurt us were their 2 centre-halves. We thought if they picked up the ball in the middle of the park, they'd have to hit straight balls into our back 4, and we would pick up the knockdowns and play from there. What we didn't want them to do is for them to get round the back of us. We didn't want Giggs to see, can Chelsea see much of the ball? And I thought, people like Warren Barton and Gary Elkins were superb.
I think maybe when we got the result from the Southampton result game, that maybe some of our players were a bit casual in the early part of the match. The ball was very, very lively. It was a lively pitch. And the first half was really a very disappointing performance from us, really. In fairness to them, the second half, they're full of determination and more energy about them and more desire to try and create. And we're maybe a little bit unlucky with some of the things that fell for us in the penalty box. We may have put one or two of them away. But then the day we've lost, and Wimbledon fought very hard for their victory. And you can't encourage them because they do work hard.
So Wimbledon did Blackburn a big favour, and the two clubs remain, both of them, on 79 points, but of course Blackburn have played one game more. Now, Trevor, Peter Schmeichel's been a bit unlucky, should we say, recently, once or twice.
He hasn't had the best of runs, has he, in recent weeks. That's probably started in the Cup, didn't it, when he got sent off against Charlton, and then, of course, the semi-final last week, a mistake against Oldham. And definitely today was a goalkeeping error. I mean, and it came at an important stage, and you can see he goes for the long ball and leaves the near post far too exposed. It bounced up, all right, a bit unkindly, but I mean, it should have got hold of that, moved his feet back across to the near post, and John Fashanu says, thanks very much. And, of course, late on then, he tries to remedy the situation. I mean, you watch him, he definitely gets his head to the ball. Good defensive header, isn't it, there, away, out of trouble. And you could see Steve Bruce absolutely annoyed there, because definitely would have had a free header. And there, Schmeichel, good defensive work. I mean, that sums up his day, unfortunately.
Wimbledon did contain United very well, and that's thanks to Joe Kinnear's tactical plan, is it?
We did extremely well. They lost 3-0 in the Cup, didn't they? And he decided, right, we're going to stop these playing. And John Fashanu, I mean, he did a terrific job left up alone and sort of chasing these lost causes, didn't he? He covered acres of ground, and credit to him, because he did occupy Man United. But they're quite happy to let Manchester have it in their half and then regroup, get numbers back. As you see here, it's Gary Pallister on the ball. But more important, he wanted to cut down the supply out wide. And the two players are ringed. Yeah, Dean Holdsworth, normally a striker, is at the bottom of the pitch, and Marcus Gale at the top. And they stopped playing it wide. And here Paul Ince in possession, looking now I can't spread the play. And so he pushed them into the three central midfielders, which are Fear, Earl and Jones. And got nowhere to go. They hustled. And eventually, when the ball was played in, it did go into their strength. It was knocked back to Hans Sagers. He switched it straight upfield and onto John Fashanu to get on the end of that. But I think the one sound note for me was that two-footed tackle here. You can see Terry Holbrook, the referee, was perfectly positioned.
It's pretty horrific, isn't it?
Well, I mean, for me, there's no place on the football pitch for that sort of two-footed tackle. And the fact there was no card at all, I find quite extraordinary.
How do we see the championship situation now, then?
Well, I mean, nothing has happened today, but you have to say it's another game gone for Manchester United, which it benefits them, because, it's Blackburn who have got to close the gap, haven't they? And, as each fixture ticks on by, I would have said Manchester United would be quite happy, because they've got that extra point, really, almost for the goal difference.
These are the games that are left, Alan.
Yeah, I think that Manchester United have got harder running. Against Leeds United away is going to be very difficult. Obviously, they've got the Manchester derby. I just think that, as Trevor said, that another game gone. But from Blackburn's point of view, I think that at 5 o'clock the players would have been down, but at 7 o'clock they would have been back up again. And if they can win the 4 games and put Manchester United under pressure, then who knows what can happen. But Manchester United are definitely in pole position. They need to win 4 at the last 5 games to win the Premiership, and they're in control of their own destiny.
Keeps it very exciting, doesn't it? Right, before we concentrate on our third featured game between Ipswich and Swindon, let's see what happened in the other games affecting the relegation positions.
Oldham's efforts to put their FA Cup disappointment behind them by salvaging their Premier League place were hit after only 2 minutes at Boundary Park. In failing to deal with West Ham's first real attack, they gave Matthew Holmes the space to set up Martin Allen. 1 down after 2 minutes, 2 down after half an hour, and again it was a sluggish Oldham defence that fell asleep. Richard Jobson allowed Trevor Morley to get behind him. John Holworth saved the shot. Martin Allen's support and pass gave him the second opportunity. Joe Raw's side did wake up. They pulled a goal back just before half-time. David Burrows bundled over Sean McCarthy and was booked for the strength of his disapproval with the decision. The case for the prosecution does look strong. Rick Holden's penalty gave Oldham every chance for a second-half comeback, but an equaliser couldn't be found, and they must take advantage of their games in hand on their relegation rivals.
We can't look back to the past. We've got to look to the future. We've got 6 games left. 6 important games. We've got 2 games in hand on most of the teams, below us and above us. We think we can do it.
Everton went to Loftus Road in the knowledge that 3 points would just about guarantee their survival. They kept plugging away and were rewarded with an Anders Limpar-Tony Cottee combination just after an hour's play. But it was the lead they kept for only 2 minutes, and if Everton go down, they'll point an accusing finger about Rangers' equaliser. No argument Neville Southall didn't deal with the cross. They were convinced Devon White should have been pulled up for handball. He desperately tried to force the ball over the line, but was it his hand that made the final connection? All wasn't lost. A point would have been gratefully accepted, but when Les Ferdinand made the most of David Bardsley's long ball forward and scored a winning goal 3 minutes from time, that disputed equaliser suddenly became the issue of the day.
Well, I don't think there was any doubt he punched the ball into the net. But there again, the officials, I thought, were less than competent all afternoon, to be quite honest with you.
Have you said anything?
It doesn't help, you know, when you're trying to battle against things like we are. But hey, it happens now and again.
Have you said anything to the referee?
We're tempted to, yeah, but you don't get too much reaction.
8 games unbeaten had given Sheffield United fans heart that they would again scramble to safety. And when Cole Bradshaw's long throw was touched on to Adrian Littlejohn after 17 minutes, there was every reason to be optimistic. But 2 goals in 3 minutes, 6 minutes later, turned the game on its head. Villa captain Kevin Richardson is enjoying a great season. He fired at an equaliser, Villa level. And they were back virtually immediately. Richardson's long ball gave 19-year-old Graham Fenton the chance to show skill and determination in scoring his first Premiership goal. A goal that means serious trouble for Sheffield United.
We're battle the last 4 games come what may. I mean, we can't affect other results. All we can try and do is affect our own results, and we've got to go looking for victories wherever we can. And we've got 3 away games and 1 at home. Not many people are going to give us much chance, but we're full of enthusiasm. That was our first defeat for some while. Hopefully we can pick ourselves up, dust ourselves down and start all over again, as they say.
They won't count their chickens, but Manchester City fans must be breathing more easily, despite going a goal behind after 14 minutes at Main Road today. Chris Sutton and Mark Robbins both involved in the goal scored by Robert Ullathorne. But a priceless point came City's way when they equalised within a minute of the start of the second half. Steve McMahon found Stefan Karl, and City's German striker Uwe Rosler whacked it in at the near post. With 10 points out of the last 12, City look home and dry.
Well, Everton is still one of the clubs in trouble, and Mr. Walker not very happy about one of those goals today, Trevor.
Well, I can understand it personally. I mean, they're just taking the lead from Tony Cottee, and then a bit of a scramble, isn't it? And definitely, I mean, it wasn't easy probably for the referee to tell at that stage, but, you know, as the cross comes over, Neville Southall just loses it. It bobbles around, and there's no question it was a fist into the net. But
no question for you. I'm not absolutely sure myself.
I think, well, I mean, this is it. The referee is a long way away, but you'll see the head is well away from the ball. It's his fist.
It goes in somehow.
It definitely is. If you freeze it, it's almost a point of contact.
Fist.
Yeah. Fist. You agree, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
All
Not
right.
much consolation, though, for Mike Walker at this stage.
Obviously not. We'll take a check on the bottom positions in a minute. But now to Portman Road, with Ipswich having joined the clubs in trouble, and Swindon Town right at the bottom, where they've been most of the season. Our man is Gerald Sinstadt.
Kiwomya away. Marshall by the penalty spot. Slater retrieves the cross, but it wasn't a good one. Johnson plays it in again. Kiwomya's header onto the top of the crossbar. Goalkeeper didn't touch it. Ipswich fans warm their hands. Chris Kiwomya warms his forehead. And the crossbar intervenes to keep the score sheet blank. Taken quickly. Fjortoff couldn't keep possession, but Moncur helps him out and has made himself some room. Good shot too, and not very well dealt with, and there is the goal from Fjortoff. The run goes on for the Norwegian international. 20 games without scoring, came here in an FA Cup replay and scored, and now he does a little jig to celebrate 12 goals in 13 games. Swindon lead. Shot from Moncur was hard, accurate. Forrest was down, should have held it, and when he didn't, Fjortoft struck. Marshall cuts the pass through. Still isn't clear. Still isn't clear. Slater. Charge down. Feels for handball. Not given. Fennick, who blocked it for the corner. Many fans behind that goal thought he blocked it with an arm. Corner from Milton. Half cleared. Back in from Stockwell, header off the line and then over the top by Marshall. The shot was ferociously struck and Bowden on the line, got it away, straight to Marshall, Marshall over the top. Out to Slater. Marshall free beyond the far post. Cross wasn't deep enough. Palmer tries to find him. Here he is now. Chip back in. Kiwomya chases. And Hammond's fingertips are just enough. Still Ipswich. No penalty. It's obviously a controversial decision by Mr. Callow. Up towards Scott, and Scott's got the benefit of the bounce, plays it in for Fjortoft, who should have had his second of the game and was too deliberate. Scott was lucky when the high ball was played in, the bounce favoured him, played it square for Fjortoft, took deliberate aim. If he blasted it, must surely have scored. Didn't get it either at the second attempt. Over here now, Johnson. Sure whether that was a shot or a pass. Cut out by Kilcline. Milton. Johnson's called for it and got it. It's from here to Marshall. Marshall! The marking all fell apart and Ian Marshall, back in the side, provides the punch that Ipswich have so desperately needed. It's now 1-1. Johnson had stayed up, played a good ball inside, and Marshall had time and space. Come on! Horlock. Moncur, just outside. Pass was good and Moncur was free, tried to slip it inside the far post, misjudged it by a couple of inches.
We thought we could get something out of the game and you know, we were hoping for a win.
And what's the feeling now you've only got a point out of it?
Well, I think a point, if we look at the other results, the teams below us, and they've only got, they lost today, there's only Southampton I think who won, so it's a point gain maybe.
Well, there's a whole batch of clubs in trouble, Trevor, but only the Ipswich fans seem to be revolting, or should I say demonstrating.
Well, I think it's my old West Ham manager, John Lyle, when he first went there. I mean, they played quite an attractive passing game, and then last year he handed the reins over to McGivern, who was also at West Ham, and I think the Ipswich supporters have felt Mick has sort of tended to be a bit more defensive with his style of play, hoping to sort of pinch, you know, the odd goal victories, and they haven't scored enough goals, and probably, you know, that is why they feel they're in the situation they are. I mean, they've got 3 very hard matches: Sheffield Wednesday, Manchester United, and sort of Blackburn as well. You know, you're going to do well to get points.
It's a bad time to be demonstrating. They've got 3 games left. They might go down. You demonstrate affects the players on the pitch.
Doesn't help.
Doesn't help. Very counterproductive.
Let's look at the bottom of the table then. It's like this. How do you see it?
Well, I thought a couple of weeks ago it was any 2 from 7. I thought Swindon would go down. Now it's looking black for Sheffield United. I think it's any one from
looked really black for Southampton a couple of weeks ago until this. And
Manchester City, and they've had a good run. But Oldham, Southampton, Tottenham, Everton, Ipswich.
It's
anyone from 5.
1 for 5. Okay. Well, 3 more matches to catch up on now, starting with the London derby. Arsenal against Cup finalists Chelsea.
To be honest, both teams played as if they'd bigger things on their minds. The day's highlight was the match within the match between Ian Wright and his marker Frank Sinclair. 17 minutes from time, Wright managed to slip past his guard and fast onto Eddie McGoldrick's cross to help dry some of the midweek tears he shed over his European suspension.
It's been a roller coaster of emotion for me. Obviously the Saint-Germain game was very disappointing, but you know, it's a thing that happened and I've just got to put it behind me and get on with the next game.
There was an air of remembrance around Anfield today. 5 years on from Hillsborough, fans of Newcastle United joined their Liverpool friends in paying tribute to the disaster victims. There was no mistaking where Newcastle's guiding lights, Keegan and McDermott, had learnt their trade. Their team assumed a Liverpool look from the 4th minute when Robert Lee scored a smartly taken opener. Newcastle's second, early in the second half, gave a new meaning to the phrase end-to-end football. The best form of defence is attack. Scott Sellers and then Rule Fox were the messengers, carrying the ball swiftly and smoothly from keeper to striker. And when it arrived at Andy Cole's doorstep, the rest is history. His 39th goal of the season, equalling a club record, he'll share with Hughie Gallagher and George Robledo until the next chance comes along. Problems of one kind or another at Coventry. Sheffield Wednesday had a problem with the 25th minute penalty award for Roland Nielsen's trip on Peter Unlove. It may just have been an inch or two outside the box, but by all accounts, Unlove's all-round display deserved the benefit of any doubt. He scored the penalty himself. Wednesday equalised in the second half, but due to a camera fault, this is the best view available of Ryan Jones's free kick. He's the player on the far right of your screen. Good goal too. Even better if you were there.
Well, the Championship contenders both lost today, which